Om Sada
Sadaşiva-Samarambaṁ Şankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryamparaṁ
Vande
Vande Guru-Paramparam.
Om
Om
Sahana
Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhidamastu Ma Vidvishavahai.
Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Harihi Om
Hari
Shri Gurubhyo
Namaha.
Harihi
Hari
Om Om Tat Sat Om Namah Shivaya. So we'll go to verse number 3. Last week we completed verse number 2. Now let us chant verse number 3. I will chant, you please follow. Pashyaitam Pandaputranam
Pashyaitam Pandaputranam
Acharya Mahatim Chamum
Acharya Mahatim Chamum
Vyudam Drupada Putrena
Vyudam Drupada Putrena
Tava Shishyena Dhimatha.
Tava Shishyena Dhimata.
So in the first verse, Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya, my sons and sons of Pandava have assembled with an intention to fight. What is happening in the field? So Sanjaya said that seeing the army of Pandavas in the battle formation, King Duryodhana, approaching his teacher Drona, spoke these words. So it should have actually started with the Duryodhana Vacha, but Maharishi has decided not to use that word, so we will not also use it, but it is to be added. These words are spoken by Duryodhana. So what Duryodhana said, he approached his teacher, Acharya Drona. Acharya means teacher. Tava Sishyena, by your disciple. Dhimatha, by the brilliant. Drupada Putrena, by the son of Drupada. Vyudam, formation, formed and led by Drupada, son of Drupada. Pandu Putranam, of the sons of Pandu. Etam means this. Mahatim, great. Chamum, army. Pashya, please have a look at it. So he approached, Duryodhana approached the great Acharya, Dronacharya, and says, "O teacher, please look at this great army of the sons of Pandu, formed and led by your brilliant disciple Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupada." So, as we all know, armies have been lined up, formations have been made. Now war is about to begin, and Bhishma was the commander-in-chief of Kaurava's army. But instead of approaching Bhishma Pitamaha, Duryodhana decides to approach Dronacharya because he was his master. He was the one who taught him archery and the warfare. So out of respect for him, he went and said these words. Another reason is he was very sure of Bhishma Pitamaha was on his side, very much was on his side. But Dronacharya had many dear disciples in the Pandavas army. Arjuna was one of the most favorite disciple of Dronacharya. So, in order to woo him, in order to get inspiration from him and to remind him that he is on the side of Kauravas, he approached him and said, Dronacharya, we all know, was the teacher for both Kauravas and Pandavas. And he was also the teacher for Drishtadyumna, who was the commander-in-chief of Kauravas army. And Drishtadyumna was the son of Drupada. Drupada was the father of Draupadi. So commander-in-chief of Kauravas army is Drishtadyumna, who was also one of the disciples of Dronacharya. So imagine one of his favorite disciples, Arjuna, another favorite and brilliant disciple, Drishtadyumna, who is commander-in-chief of Kauravas army, Pandavas army. So imagine the condition of Dronacharya. All his favorite disciples, brilliant ones, are positioned on the opposite sides. So in this verse, we should learn that the commander-in-chief of Pandavas army was Drishtadyumna, son of Drupada. And Drupada was the father of Draupadi. Now we'll go to the 4th verse. Let us chant. Atra Shura Maheshvasa.
Atra Shura Maheshvasa.
Bhimarjuna Samayudhi.
Bhimarjuna Samayudhi.
Yuyudhano Viratascha.
Yuyudhano Viratascha.
Drupadascha Maharataha.
Drupadrashta Maharataha.
Drishtaketuschika
Drishtaketutschekitanaha.
Sorry.
Drishtaketuschekitanaha.
Ashirajasta Viryavan.
Kashirajascha Viryavan.
Purujitibojascha.
Purujitibojascha.
Saubhyascha Narapungavaha.
Shaivyascha Narapungavaha.
Third, 6th also we will chant. 6th also. Yudamanyuscha Vikrantaha.
Yudamanyuscha Vikrantaha.
Uttamaujascha Viryavan.
Uttamaujascha Viryavan.
Saubhadro Draupadeyascha.
सौभद्रो द्रौपदेयाश्च
सर्व एव महारथाः
सर्व एव महारथाः.
Sometimes we'll chant 2-3 verses together because these are only introductory verses. The idea is to give who were all present the magnitude of the armies that were gathered there. So just to give an idea about the great warriors who were present, some of the names are mentioned. It was not possible to mention all the names because thousands and thousands of warriors were gathered, but we have only highlights certain great warriors just to give an idea about the army. So Astra means here in the army of Pandavas, Yudhi in battle, Bhima Arjuna Samaha, equal to Bhima and Arjuna, Suraha, unrivaled experts, Maheshwasaha, men of great archery, Yuyudhanaha, Yuyudhana means a king named by Satyaki. Yuyudhana is Satyaki, another name is Satyaki. Virataha, a king of Virata. Cha and Drupada, king of Drupada. King Drupada, father of Draupadi. Maharataha, men of great valor. Drishtaketu. Drishtaketu is another king's name. Chekitana, Viryavan, the valiant Kashi Raja, the king of Kashi. Purjit Kunti Boja. Somebody's mic is on, please switch it off. It is echo. Narapungava. Somebody's mic is on or two instruments are. Can you mute yourself?
Mehta's mic is on.
Yati.
So Narapungava, the one who is the most exalted among men. Vikrantaha, the one who is very powerful. Yudamanyu, Viryavan, warrior of great strength. Uttamoja is Uttamoja. Shaubhadra, son of Subhadra, that is Abhimanyu. Draupadeha, the sons of Draupadi. Draupadi had 5 sons. And Cha means and Sarve. All these eva indeed Maharataha, men of great valor. Here are unrivaled experts equal to Bhima and Arjuna in battle. Great archers, each one of them, Satyaki, the king of Virat, King Drupada, a man of great valor. Drishtaketu, Tana, valiant king of Kashi. Kunti Boja is another king's name. These are most exalted among men. The powerful Yudamanyu, a warrior of great strength, the son of Subhadra, Abhimanyu, and the sons of Draupadi are all great, valiant warriors. So here,
The mic is on.
please mute yourself on. Here many names are taken just to give us an idea about the great courageous warriors of great strength and valor who have gathered there. It is just to give us an idea. That is the reason Vyasacharya used Duryodhana to tell us the great names. So we did not go deep into each and every name, just to give us an idea. These names are given. That is the basic idea. How to give introduction through Duryodhana. Vyasacharya gives these examples. So not much explanation is required. We will quickly go through it. Next verse. Asmakam tu vishishaye
अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये
निबोध विजोत्तमा
यानि बोधविजोत्तमा
नायका मम सैन्यस्य
नायका मम सैन्यस्य
संज्ञातं तान् ब्रवीमि ते
संज्ञातं तान् ब्रवीमि।
So continuing the description of the great warriors assembled, so that we get an idea of the might and strength of the armies that are gathered there. It was like mini world war. Hundreds and hundreds of armies have joined Duryodhana, and hundreds of armies joined Pandavas. So there was mammoth gathering there. It was not a small war. That is why it is called Mahabharata. Okay. Here Duryodhana addresses Dronacharya as Dvija Uttama, who learned among the twice born. Dvija Uttama means normally referred to Brahmanas. A person is first born when he is physically born, and second birth takes place when the thread ceremony happens. So normally Brahmanas are called Dvija Uttama. And also it is applicable to Kshatriyas and other Varnas when they are introduced Gayatri Mantra. So Dvija Uttama learned among the twice born. Asmakam of us. Q means whereas. Ye, those who Visishtaha are important. Mama Sainyasya, of my army. Nayakaha, leaders. Tan, them. Niboda, please take note. Te, to you. Sanyatam, in order to introduce. Tan, them. Bhavimi, I mentioned. Whereas the learned among the twice born Brahmanas, please take note of those who are important amongst ourselves, the leaders of my army. I mentioned them in order to introduce them to you. So, just like the great warriors on the Pandava side, Duryodhana emphasized equivalent, if not more powerful, warriors were also on our side. The kings who have joined Duryodhana, they were not ordinary soldiers. They were leaders. They were Maharathas, warriors of great might. So this Duryodhana wanted to point out. So he says, in order to introduce them to you, I will mention them by name. So as I told you, he addresses his Acharya Dronacharya as Dvija Uttama, the best among the twice born. Dvija, a Brahmana, a Kshatriya and Vaishya are considered to be born again when they are initiated into Gayatri mantra. Drona was described by Duryodhana as Uttama, the best, because he was a learned teacher of archery and he was guru of both Kauravas and Pandavas. So Duryodhana continues to describe his own army in the next verse also. Verse number 8. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha
Bhavan
Bhishmakarmascha
Kripascha Samitinjayah
Kripasya
Ashwattama Vikarnascha
Asvattamavikarnascha
Saumatatistaivacha
Saumadittastataiva cha
Anye cha bahuvashuraha
Anyescha bahuvah shuraha
Adarte tyakta jivitaha
Adarte tyakta jivitaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Sarve yuddha visharadaha.
Yudda visharadaha.
So here we have joined two verses. It is again instruction, so we will quickly run through it. Here Duryodhana addresses Dronacharya as Bhavan, your honor. Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Kripacharya, and Samichinjaya, one who is always glorious. Ashwattama, Vikarna, Saumaditta, Saumadittihi. Saumaditti means son of Somadatta. Then Jayadratha, King Jayadratha, Anyecha and others. Bahavaha, many. Suraha means warriors. Madarte, for my sake. Tyakta jivitaha, who are determined to give up their lives. Nana shastra praharanaha, having many kinds of weapons. Sarve, all. Yuddha visharadaha, experts in warfare. Your honor, he addresses his teacher as your honor out of respect. Your honor, you are there. Of course, he is there very much. So he starts with Dronacharya. You are there, the biggest teacher of all. So your honor, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, who is always victorious in war. Ashwattama, Vikarna, Saumadatti, the son of Somadatta, also known as Bhurisrava, and Jayadratha, and many other warriors, all experts in warfare, armed with many kinds of weapons, who are determined to give up their lives for my sake. They are very loyal to me. So here Duryodhana, instead of addressing the Acharya by Acharya or by name, he calls him as Bhavan, Your Honor, Your Excellency, Your Honor, Sir. Okay, with respect. One thing is to impress upon him, he was also his disciple and he had great respect for him, because most of his favorite disciples are all on the other side. So Duryodhana was having this apprehension that Dronacharya may be biased because of his favorite students were on the other side. So in order to impress him that he was equally a great student and a good student at that, so he addresses him as Your Honor. So Bhishma was having another importance, because after Bhishma Pitamaha, he was the second. So when Bhishma Pitamaha, okay, was downed when he was lying in the bed of arrows, this Dronacharya became the commander-in-chief. So in that position also he was equally important. That is the reason he addresses him as Bhavan. So other names described here are Karna, who was considered equivalent to Arjuna, and Kripa, another Acharya, great man who was always victorious, who never faced any defeat in any war. Then he also mentions the name of Dronacharya's son Ashwathama, and he mentions his own brother Vikarna. Vikarna and Ashwathama were of the same age. Jayadratha, very important person who was the cause of death of Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, and Saumadatti, son of Saumadatta, were also present. So now, having mentioned these people by name, Duryodhana points out that there were many other warriors who had come to join him on the battlefield. His words, other warriors who have given up their lives for my sake. Anyecha Bhagavaha Suraha Madarte Takta Jivitaha. It can be taken here as divine omen of what was to come. Because eventually they will all give up their lives for the sake of Kauravas and Duryodhana. So we'll move on to the next verse. Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Aparyatam
तदस्माकम्
tadasmakam
Balam Bhishma Birakshitam
7 o'clock.
Balam
Bhishma
Bhishma Chitam
Paryaptam Tvidadesham
पर्याप्तं
Cham
Balam Bhima Birakshitam
बलं भीमाभिरक्षितं
Chitam
Bhishma Abhirakshitam, well protected by Bhishma. Asmakam, our. Balam, mean army. Aparyaptam, cannot be overwhelmed. 2, whereas Bhima Abhirakshitam, even though protected by Bhima, Etesam, these people in front of us, Idam, this, Balam, army, Paryaptam, can be overwhelmed. Our army being stronger and larger, well protected by Bhishma, cannot be overwhelmed. Whereas the army of these people in front of us, Pandavas, even though protected by Bhima, can be overwhelmed. So here Duryodhana points out to his Acharya Dronacharya that Pandavas could not overwhelm Kaurava's army because it was well protected by Bhishma Pitamaha. Also, it had 11 divisions. They were called Akshauhini, like we call in the modern day armies battalions and etc. Those days it was called Akshauhini divisions. They had 11 divisions, whereas Pandavas had only 7 Akshauhini. So one Akshauhini means, one division means consisting of 21,870 chariots, approximately 22,000 chariots, 22,000 elephants, 66,000 horses, 110,000 foot soldiers. That is one division, one Akshauhini. Can you just imagine? 22,000 chariots, 22,000 elephants, about 66,000 horses, and 110,000 foot soldiers. Imagine the magnitude of the army. So like this, he had 11 divisions, Duryodhana, whereas Pandavas had only 7. So 4 less than the Kauravas. So considering the numbers involved, so Duryodhana concludes that there was no way Pandavas can overwhelm the Kauravas army and defeat them. Because by the sheer size of 11 divisions, they had an upper hand. So in the next verse, the importance of Bhishma to the outcome of the war is being mentioned by Duryodhana to Dronacharya. Let us chant. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu
Ayaneshu Sarveshu
yata bhagam avastitaha
Yatha
Bhagavastitaha
Bhishmameva birakshantu
Bhishmameva Virakshantu
avantas sarva eva hi.
Bhavantah Sarva Eva Hi
Sarvesu ayaneshu, in all divisions of the army, yata bhagam, in your respective positions, avastitaha, stationed, bhavantaha, sarve evaihi, all of you indeed, Bhishmam eva, Bhishma in particular, abhirakshantu, should protect. So stationed in your respective positions in all the divisions of the army, all of you should indeed protect Bhishma in particular. So it is very important to protect the commander-in-chief of any army when a war happens, because commander-in-chief is the main person who directs and controls the war. The first aim of any opponent is to kill that commander-in-chief. So inside this army divisions formation, there were several formations so formed, well formed, that it was almost impossible to attack Bhishma Pitamaha. But still, Duryodhana tells Dronacharya that all of you stationed in your respective positions should protect the commander-in-chief, that is Bhishma Pitama. As long as Bhishma was protected, the army would be protected. So he said that I don't want any harm to come to Bhishma Pitama. So first aim of any army is to protect its commander-in-chief. That is how the formations are made. And here Duryodhana just mentions or emphasize the importance of protecting the commander-in-chief Bhishma Pitama. So nothing much to explain. We'll go to the next verse. Is it okay or anyone wants more explanation?
It's fine, sir.
Just to give us an idea, no? We should have the idea about the great warriors present and the magnitude of the army. That is the reason these introductory verses are given.
Acharya, one quick question. Is it same chandas is followed for all these verses? And if yes, what chandas is followed?
These are Anushtup Chanda.
Understood. Okay.
Trishtup Chanda will come in the second chapter.
Okay. So for all verses, it's understood.
Anushtup Chanda.
Understood. Okay.
Tasya Sanganaya Harsham
तस्य सञ्जनयन् हर्षं
हर्षं
Kuru Vriddah Pitamahah
गुरुवृद्धः
गुरुवृद्धः
पितामहः
पितामहः
Simhanadam Vinodjascho
सिंहनादं विनोच्चै
Shankam Dadmau Pratapavan.
शङ्खं दद्मौ प्रतापवान्
Pratapavan means one who is known for his valor. Kuru Vriddaha Pitamaha, the grandfather of Kuru family, that is Bhishma Pitamaha. Tasya, his Harsham, happiness. Chanyayam means intending to produce. Uchchaihi, loudly. Simmanadam, a lion's roar. Vinadya, making. Shankam, Shankam means Shank, conch. Dadmau, he blew. Bhishma Pitamaha, the grandfather of Kuru family, known for his valor, who never faced defeat in his life in any war. He let out loudly a lion's roar and blew his conch in order to make Duryodhana happy. So, in spite of the formation of army, in spite of the advantage Duryodhana had by the sheer size of the army divisions and the great warriors, in the heart of his heart, he knew that he was on the adharma side. What he was doing was adharma. But because of his delusion, moha, because of his greed, he chose to side with adharma. So in order to bring happiness, in order to encourage Duryodhana, Bhishma Pitamaha decided not to use any words, but he roared like a lion and blew his conch. So that was the tradition. a war was about to begin. It was announced through blowing conches. So once Bhishma's conch had sounded, everyone else in Duryodhana's army also blew his conch. This is described in the next verse. Tata Shankascha Beryascha
ततः शङ्कश्च वीर्यश्च
Panavanaka Gomukaha
प्रणवानकगोमुखाः
Sahasaivavyahanyanta
सहसैवाभ्यहयन्तः
Sasabdastu Mulobhavat.
सशब्दस्तुमुलोऽभवत्
Tataha, then Shankaha, conches, Beryaha, kettle drums, Panava, Anaka, Gomukaha, there are trumpets, kettle drums, cow horns, various instruments that were used to announce the commencement of war. They were all blown. Sahasa eva, suddenly, Abhya Hanyanta, were blasted forth. Saha, that, Sabdaha, sound, Timulaha, Abhavat, was earth shaking. Imagine thousands of warriors blowing their conches, kettle drum, cow horns. The amount of sound, it was earth shattering. Then suddenly, conches, kettle drums, trumpets, and cow horns were blasted forth, and the sound was indeed earth shaking. All the various instruments of sound are described in this verse. These equipments, these instruments were used for creating loud noises. Kettle drum is one example. First, traditionally, conches are blown. Normally, a conch is blown to announce the commencement of war, and others follow suit by sounding various instruments. When Duryodhana's entire army with its 11 divisions simultaneously blew their conches and other instruments, the whole sky was allowed with this enormous noise. In this situation, what did Pandavas do? Of course, they also replied and followed suit. And this is described in the next verse, 14th verse. Tata Shvetair Mukte
ततः श्रीते
ततः श्वेते हरे मुक्ति
Higher Yukte. Higher Yukte.
ततः श्वेते हरे युक्ते
Mahati Syandane Stitau.
महत्स्यन्दने स्थितौ
Madhava Pandavaschaiva.
माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव
Divyau Shankau Pradamatu.
Divyau Shankau Pradamadu.
Is a Divyau Shankau
Shankau
Matuhu. Shankau Pradat Matuhu. Okay. Tataha, then Svetaihi Hehi, by white horses, Yukte, drawn by white horses, Mahati Syanadena, the great chariot, Stitau, seated, Madhavaha. Madhava is another name for Krishna. Pandava, Arjuna. Cha and Eva also. Divyau, divine. Shankau, conscious. Pradat Matuhu, blue. Then Lord Krishna and Arjuna seated in great chariot, drawn by white horses, blew their divine conches. So first Vyasacharya described the sound produced by the conches and kettle drums blown by Duryodhana's army. Now he is describing the Pandavas side, saying that they also blew their divine conches. First, Madhava, Krishna, Lord Krishna blew the conch, and followed by Arjuna and others. So next verse states the names of the conches. Those days, the bow, the great warriors possessed had names. Also, their conches, they also had names. So it is impossible to describe all the names of all the bows and all the conches. So Vyasacharya mentions few names that were used by Krishna, Arjuna, etc. Otherwise, it would be impossible to describe the names of all the conches, but they all had names. For example, Arjuna's bow had a name. Anyone knows?
Gandiva.
Gandiva. So similarly, conches also had names. So we'll chant the next verse. Panchajanyam Rishikeshaha.
Panchajanya Rishikesha.
Rishikeshaha. Visarga should be pronounced. Panchajanyam Rishikeshaha.
Panchajanyam Rishikesha.
Devadattam Dhananjayaha.
Devadattam Dhananjaya.
Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam.
Paundram Dadmau
Bhima Karma Vrikodaraha. Rishikesha is another name for Lord Krishna, means Lord of all the senses. Krishna. Panchajanyam, the name of the conch is Panchajanyam. Dhananjaya is another name for Arjuna, and his conch name was Devadatta. Bhima Karma Bhima. Vrikodaraha. Vrikodaraha means the one with the stomach of a wolf. So whatever he eats, the stomach will not bulge. Mahashankam. His huge conch. Poundram. Poundra. Dadmav. Blue. So Krishna blew his conch, the Panchajanya, and Arjuna blew his conch, Devadatta. Bhima, the man of fierce deeds, and one with the stomach of a wolf, blew his huge conch, Paudra. So Lord Krishna's conch was called Panchajanya.
Why?
Arjuna's bow.
Somebody's mic is on, sir.
Please mute, otherwise this will create disturbance in the recording. If I have to mute, then I have to stop, minimize, then mute. It will take time. Please. So Arjuna's bow was known as Gandiva. So Arjuna is referred as Dhananjaya here. It is another name for Arjuna. And his conch was named Devadatta. Devadatta means, literally means gift from God. So Bhima Karma was another name for Bhima. It is another name for Bhima. Just introduce us to the names of the divine conches. They were not ordinary conches, they were divine conches. So,
I have a query here, sir.
yes, please.
Just a doubt. Why here Arjun is called Dhananjaya?
He
And
was-
every place there is some purpose, right?
Yes. It is just, it is an adjective, He was endowed with wealth. He had all the wealth. Not only the material wealth, he had the wealth of Kshatriya, followed Dharma. He was a royal prince. So he was given this name Dhananjaya.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Like that, we will come across many names like Gudakesha, one who conquered sleep. Parantapa, one who could not be defeated. So many adjectives are used just to describe. And as we go by, we will explain the meaning of the name also. Like Lord Krishna is addressed as Rishikesha, Madhava. Several names are
Yes, sir.
used.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Then after this, other 3 Pandavas also blew their conches. That is described in the next verse. Ananta Vijayam Raja.
Ananta Vijayam
Ananta
Raja.
Vijayam Raja.
Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha.
Kuntiputro
Yudhishthiraha.
Nakula Sahadevascha.
Sahadevascha.
Sugoshamani Pushpakau.
Sugoshamani Pushpakau.
Kunti Putra means son of Kunti. Raja Yudhishthiraha, King Yudhishthira, Dharmaputra, eldest. Ananta Vijayam. Ananta Vijayam. Ananta Vijaya is the name of Yudhishthira's conch. Nakula Sagadevascha. Nakula and Sagadeva. Sugosha Mani Pushpakao. Sugosha and Mani Pushpaka. the names of Nakula and Sagadeva's conscious. So King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadeva blew Sugosha and Mani Pushpaka, respectively. So these verses basically give the names of the respective divine conscious that Krishna and Pandavas possessed. So there is nothing much to explain or understand, just for information. This has to be remembered. So as I told you earlier, the purpose of first chapter is to just give an introduction. There is no actual teaching involved here. Gita Padesham starts in the second chapter from the 11th verse. That is the reason Sankaracharya starts his commentary from the 11th verse of the second chapter. However, it is very important to know the background clearly in order to understand the teachings that will follow. The first chapter, please mute.
Please switch off your mics, ladies.
In this first chapter, Arjuna discovers the problem of samsara or bhavaroga. Till he understood that he had a problem and he had no solution for that problem, and outside help was required, and he surrendered to Krishna, asking for his advice, his teaching. So eventually, in the next few verses, we will learn how he encounters this problem of samsara, how his raga, attachment, leads to shoka, sorrow, and which leads to moha, delusion, where he becomes confused. He takes adharma as dharma and dharma as adharma, and he refuses to fight. So these are the essential central theme of the first chapter. As we go by, we will explain what is the samsara roga, the disease, and how he became attached, Arjuna, and how this attachment led to sorrow, Vishada, and how that sorrow led to delusion. That we will explain in detail. That is the essence of the first chapter. All these things, the names of great warriors, the names of conscious, the names of vows, are given just to introduce, to give us an idea about that. Because hundreds of thousands of people have gathered. So as a student, we should know what is the background in which this Gita Upadesam takes place. That is the idea. That is the reason we are not explaining much about these initial verses. Is it clear?
Yes.
That is purpose.
Yes, Gopalji.
Yes, very nicely explained. Thank you.
We will say the closing prayers and complete. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina.
Sukinaha. सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग्
सद्गमय
Maya
तमसो मा
Tirgamaya
मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमः पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते
पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
Om
शान्ति
Shanti
हरि ओम
हरि
हरि
ओम्
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम तत्सत् ओम नमः शिवाय
ओम तत्सत्
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Thank you, Acharya. Thank you, Acharya ji.